It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of June 20th, 2003. We got 3 films to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. How can you not be excited after a trailer like that? I mean, that trailer used to scare the bejesus out of me. I mean, when his eye turned green and it's just that straight look at that eye looking right at me, it was just like, I got uncomfortable watching that sometimes because, back in the day when you're online and you used to see these little trailers popping up out of nowhere, you'd be going on your website and all of a sudden the thing for a trailer for like a Death to Smoochie or in this case the Hulk would show up, and it used to scare the bejesus out of me because it just comes out of nowhere and it's just like, how can you not get excited for a movie like this? Oh, they found a way to make you really, really less optimistic about it when you see stuff like this in the next couple of trailers. This movie is, I think you know what it is, but let's talk about the story first. That is Eric Banner as Bruce Banner, a brilliant scientist with a cloudy past about his family who was involved in an accident in his laboratory causing him to become exposed to gamma radiation, and nanomedes, a tiny life form that is supposed to heal wounds, but has killed everything with which they have made contact with. Confused and curious about his survival, Banner discovers that since the accident, when he becomes angry, he transforms into this giant green monster that we know as the Hulk, destroying everything in sight in an act of fury. Bruce's mysterious past and the answers to why the radiation has this effect becomes revealed to him as his birth father, David Banner, played by Nick Nolte, intervenes with hope and continues experimenting on him. It's funny, when I didn't see this movie at first for the longest time. It wasn't until the next Incredible Hulk movie came out 5 years later. The first time I saw it, I didn't think it was that terrible. But, once I saw the Edward Norton movie, I was just kind of like, okay, screw that last Hulk movie. That's how much I love The Incredible Hulk. But this gets worse and worse every time I see it. This is, without a doubt, one of the worst Marvel movies ever made. It takes a badass character in the Hulk and just turns him into a pussy. Like, he is such a cowardly mess of a character in this film, and it's just, let's go through the problems of the film. One of them starts off with the film focusing on discovering more of who the Hulk is, rather than having him do what he does best. I swear to God, there are multiple scenes in this movie that delve more into the story of Bruce Banner and the Hulk than there are scenes of the Hulk tearing up shit like he's supposed to do. I mean, when will people learn that we don't care about these movie monsters having backstories? That we don't, is like, do we really need to have the backstories of people like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, or Michael Myers? No. Because once you add those elements in there, how they become these menaces, they aren't scary anymore. It's like with Maleficent. I mean, they took one of the badass Disney villains and made a movie where they give you the backstory, and it's just like, well, now you just made her more of a complicated character because you set her up as a good guy at first, and now, like what happens? Like, what's the point? And here it happens with the Hulk, and they come up with a stupid storyline involving Bruce's dad playing a part of why he keeps turning into the Hulk, which adds more plot holes to the story, even when it gets to the end of the movie, where they have this big climax where Bruce has to fight his dad, and and his dad gets all these superpowers and just has to become this big bloated CG mess. And speaking of CG messes, you thought those dogs were bad? This entire movie has some of the worst visual effects I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, the transformations of the Hulk are so awful in this movie. You can't take him seriously at all. This is 2003. I get it. Technology has advanced in the 20-plus years since then, but I know they could do visual effects better than this. Hell, I could do visual effects better than this. I have no way of doing visual effects, but I can tell you right now, I know how to do them better than anything that they pulled off in this movie. That's how bad this movie is. If there's one thing that I can give to the film's credit, it's the casting. Some of the casting is not bad. Like, Eric Banner's not bad as Bruce Banner. Jennifer Connelly's not bad as Betty Ross. Sam Elliott's not bad as Thunderbolt Ross. They're playing their parts okay, but the problem is they're not given a whole lot to do. There's more exposition going on in this film than there is an actual story, and that's the problem with the film. It's what Ang Lee was trying to do with it. He was trying to make a monster movie with a character who's not really a monster. He was trying to do this, like, he tried to make the Hulk a miniaturized version of Godzilla, but the Hulk is not that kind of a threat. He wants to explore more of the story, but that's not what people go to these movies to see. And leave it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe to finally make Hulk films or movies with the Hulk that actually give him a storyline where he can also be a badass as well. You have to have a mixture of both here with the character of the Hulk. You can make a film where you go into the backstory of the Hulk, but you have to have a story. You have to also have it where the Hulk does what the Hulk does best. And when he does it in this movie, it's very little on. It's like in a span of 10-15 minutes of the whole movie towards the end. That's it. This is a film that's over 2 hours long. This thing cost $137 million to make, and this is the best they can come up with. And I'm not going to blame Ang Lee for this. I think he was just brought in to be essentially a director for hire. I think he was in a bad situation like what John Woo was when, he made Face Off, and then they brought him in to do Mission Impossible 2, and he kind of ruined his career with that. But, at least the difference between John Woo and Ang Lee is that Ang Lee, this wasn't much of a thing that killed his career. It was more of a blemish, because as soon as he got off of this film and started making great films again, like Brokeback Mountain and Life of Pi, you start to realize maybe he wasn't the problem with the Hulk after all. Maybe he just was a guy that should not have been attached to this movie whatsoever. And sadly, it's a problem that we're seeing a lot more nowadays with all these sequels coming in here, with all these different directors who have never directed a blockbuster movie and should have not been in that situation in the first place. I'm looking at the guy from Twisters who did Minari. He did a independent film, and Universal said, we want to give you $100 million to make a sequel that nobody is asking for, but, hey, Jurassic World was a success with a director who had never touched a blockbuster before, so why can't we do it here? But there's a difference, though. Jurassic Park has more of a lasting legacy than freaking Twisters does. But I'm going off of a completely different subject altogether. But the bottom line here is that Ang Lee's Hulk is a mess. It's one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Honestly, if you want to see the true versions of how the Hulk should be, there's the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk, there's the Avengers movies, there's the Thor Ragnarok. That's the Hulk. This is not. So, plain and simple. This is just not the Hulk. So, can we turn the tide here with our next movie? It's a Rob Reiner film. Got Kate Hudson and Luke Wilson in it. It's called Alex and Emma. I don't really see what could go wrong with this movie. Oh, not franchise pictures. Dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. As soon as you see the franchise pictures logo, it's like, just, it's over. It's all over from here. And you have a story here where you have a writer, played by Luke Wilson, who must publish a novel in 30 days or face the wrath of loan sharks. You got Kate Hudson playing all these different multiple roles in here, and it's just, and for Rob Reiner, this is a guy that has made some bad movies, stuff like North, stuff like The Story of Us, Ghost of Mississippi, but this is definitely right up there with one of his worst movies, mostly because it just feels like a film that does not fit the mold of what you expect from Rob Reiner and what he could bring to the table here. It feels like, kind of like with the Hulk, it felt like this was a film that Rob Reiner was forced to do as a director for hire. Just, hey, we need a name for this film. We don't think Luke Wilson and Kate Hudson are top draws, even though Kate Hudson's been nominated for an Oscar. But you've been nominated for an Oscar, so let's go ahead and put you in here and see if you can fix this. And clearly he could not, because this film just misfires on so many levels. Too good of a cast to be wasted on this film. A good director. It's a franchise pictures movie. What more did you expect from this? Yeah, this is, as soon as that logo comes up, it's just like, turn out the lights, the party is over. They say that all good things must come to an end, So, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie here, which, can we turn the tide with our last movie here? Let's see if we can. This is from Justin to Kelly. Well, I'll give it this. It was the musical event of the summer, and the fact that it was the only musical released in the summer of 2003, so it really wasn't an event. just like, hey, we don't have any other musicals in here. We'll advertise this as the musical event of the summer, and maybe that'll force people to come see our film. This is one of the worst weekends of the year, maybe one of the worst weekends for big movies of all time, because, man, From Justin to Kelly certainly is, it's something. Let's go ahead and take a look at the plot for this and just go into it. This takes place during spring break in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We have Texas singing waitress Kelly Taylor meeting Pennsylvania college student Justin Bell, played by Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini. They fall for each other, and various romantic complications ensue. Kelly's friend Kaya falls in love with charming busboy Carlos. Kelly's other friend Alexa seems to keep Justin and Kelly from meeting. Justin's friend Brandon is also getting on the wrong side of a sexy beach patrol woman. And Justin's other friend Eddie tries to hook her up with a cyber pal. And this is a film that was so terrible that it almost didn't get released. And judging by the film that we have here, it probably shouldn't have been, but all in good time. Some theater chains literally were threatening not to screen the film when eventually this would be Disney, but 20th Century Fox announced plans to rush it to VHS and DVD a mere 6 weeks after its original release. The deuce, you say? I mean, it's not like nowadays where we just release movies 17 days in theaters and then say, here it is on digital, and then go like, well, why didn't The Fall Guy do well? Well, dumbasses. You literally are putting it out on Blu-ray and digital 17 days after it was released in theaters. And you're expecting it to become a hit in theaters still. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? But again, we'll save that for another time. But Fox ultimately relented and pushed the release date back a few months. And after the opening weekend flop, they decided to reinstate the original release plan. And the film was released in theaters on August 26th. So, theater chains threatened to pull the film. Probably shouldn't even bother to do that, because not only did you waste the studio's time by pushing it back, but it was all for naught, because this film was gone after literally 2 weeks. Like, they didn't even wait the 6 weeks. Like, you could have easily done what we do today. Just put it in theaters for 17 days and then put it on DVD. Nobody would have given a crap. Like, you wasted their time by doing this, but then again, there was this genre in 2003 where they were just like, this was actually the second theatrical release film based off a reality show. We already talked about The Real Cancun. We know how bad that movie was. Yeah, and guess what? That sucked too. But this film, I mean, I don't get it. I have no idea what they were doing. They were basically just trying to cash in on something that just premiered the year before with American Idol. This was a film based off the thing that pushed Fox to the #1 spot in terms of network television for the first time ever. And that was a pretty big deal for them. Like, Fox, they had spent the last 10 years establishing themselves as the 4th television network with The Simpsons, Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, and then the NFL pushed them over the map. But this was the one that put them over the top as the #1 network for a good amount of time. And don't get me wrong, Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini can be decent actors if you give them good scripts to work off. I mean, it's funny how Justin Guarini actually had a career, not in music, but in terms of those Dr. Pepper commercials when he was Little Sweet, and he's actually pretty hilarious in those. Yeah, it's far-fetched and over the top, but he's acting, he's coming off as humorous, and in this, he's just nothing. And in fact, everybody in this movie is just nothing. It's like Kelly Clarkson, she's too talented to be in a good movie like this. Like, what a waste of potential for this movie to have with these two people. These two people have shown they have more talent than this film is letting on, and really, I don't think it's their fault, because like I said before, it's nothing but a stupid cash grab in a year when American Idol already tried to cash grab people. Like, they didn't even wait a year after the show premiered to already premiere a spin-off called American Juniors, which also failed miserably. Like, you get the point. The movie is bad, it's terrible, it's rubbish, but the big question is, why does it even exist? Well, like I said, American Idol was a big hit at the time, but was it really that big of a hit that somebody at Fox said, you know what we need to do? We need to, now that we've got this big TV success, let's make a movie around the two frontrunners who have had no acting experience up to this point. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, what's the point? It makes no sense whatsoever. You can just look at the trailer and know right off the bat that none of this shit makes any sense at all. And here's the thing that really worries me about this. Fox was thinking that this was going to be a hit. They actually put the money into it. They put a $12 million budget on this film. It made back $5 million. Where did that $12 million go? I mean, Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini could not be that big of a names to warrant a film that has $12 million attached to it. And, like, this is 2003. They had barely reached the peak of their careers yet. I mean, Kelly Clarkson's first album came out the same year. Like, what were they thinking? What were they thinking with this movie? And this comes out around the same time when we've had a lot of big musical bombs. You know, Mariah Carey's Glitter, you know, Britney Spears' Crossroad. We haven't even gotten to stuff like Ashley Simpson's Undiscovered or Hilary Duff's Raise Your Voice. But honestly, this might be the worst of the very worst. I mean, this is the worst of the very worst. The acting is bad. The story makes no sense whatsoever. The music is terrible. The choreography is awful. It's just an all-around mess of a film, and it easily earns the distinction of one of the worst films ever made. In fact, it's in my top 5 or 6 worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It also earns the distinction as the single worst adaptation of a television series ever. And I know it's not based off entirely of American Idol, but it's based off of... It's an American Idol cash grab, regardless, and a bad one at that. There's a reason why I said this is one of my least favorite movies of all time, and it's that bad, people. Just avoid this movie like the plague. From Justin to Kelly, just avoid it. For the love of God. Well, that was a fun episode, to say the least. Like I said, that may be the worst weekend of the year for movies. Maybe one of the worst weekends for big new releases I've ever seen. And, can the end of the month save it? We've got 2 movies next time when we meet. We have Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, which the first movie was very dated right away, so we'll see if Full Throttle can change that. I sincerely doubt it, but I know we'll at least have one good movie next week, because the next movie we'll have here is 28 Days Later, the Danny Boyle film. So next week will not be as bad as this week. I can guarantee you that. But that will be for the next episode of Time About the Movies. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page. Also, hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. I'm tired. I've had a busy day today, so with that said, I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care. I'll see you guys next time.